I'll tell you straight up, man. I think these pin squats. I think these pin squats have definitely highlighted a weakness of mine. There's just no way then to think that I've gotten weaker in the anterior core. The last time I was doing pin squats, I don't remember having this feeling. I would have definitely remembered feeling this, what I'm feeling right now. These, lower abs, hip flexors, just freaking out, man. Like, I'm doing these pin squats and all I can think about is these hip flexors. All I can think about is these lower abs. I feel them like shaking. It's so strange. Like they're like trembling underneath me as I'm going through the range of motion. I don't remember having this feeling at all last time I did pin squats. And last time I was doing pin squats with way heavier loads, man. Obviously, I've acclimatized to it. It's, like second or third day that I'm doing it. Like it's not a big deal in that sense in terms of strength, but I don't remember them feeling like this. And automatically I'm thinking to myself, man, like I've dedicated a lot of my time recently, to getting my front squats improved. And, the front squats, as funny as it sounds, man, the front squats, you'd think that they target like the anterior core a lot. But because the bar is ahead of you and the way I squat with the bar kind of like wanting to collapse it forward and, me trying to keep the back, fight the bar, fight that thoracic extension, lumbar extension, I feel like front squats actually hit your back in a weird way a little bit more, like statically. It's strange. Like I'm sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell has caused this abdominal weakness? Like, I get it. I haven't done any, specific training to it recently, but I don't think I did a lot of it back then either. I know a year ago, I remember when I was getting those lower back pumps, it got me thinking about abs, and I did hanging leg raises and I did hip flexor work, here and there. Maybe just a little bit back then did enough for me to keep them somewhat in the game. But right now, like I'm doing these pin squats and I'm like, damn, man, so freaking weak. They're feeling a little bit better than yesterday. Today I came in and I did some marching. I think I put a clip in here. I did some marching. I did some I call them front kicks in the training log, but they're basically like straight leg, standing straight leg, single straight leg kicks forward. I don't know what else to call them, like leg raises. Kind of like, hanging leg raises one at a time. You're just standing. So I call them front kicks. I did a bunch of them. I did a bunch of sit-ups. And now, like when you put those muscles involved on the map, and then you go back to pin squats, you really feel that mind-muscle connection. You're like, man, you guys are freaking weak, man. Look at you guys, like shitting yourselves under the bar. And the funny thing is, they are not even allowing me to, push really hard with my quads and my glutes and whatnot. The primary movers. Like, they can't stabilize the force that I'm producing, and they're kind of collapsing, and I'm leaking power through them. Which is the whole point of core training, is the whole point of, ab training, whatever you want to call it, midsection training. All we really want that section to do is just chill, man. We just want them to, like, stabilize whatever's going through. We don't need them to flex, extend. We don't need them to twist. We don't need them to do anything. You just got to stay and hold your ground while the big guys are doing the movement. That's all we really need them to do. And right now, they're failing me. And, I'm also thinking about in recent week and a half, 2 weeks, I've dedicated a lot of my energy to the 45 hypers, smashing the living hell out of them, man. Like, doing 10 plus sets some days of 20 on the back raises, hypers, like really going bonkers on them, like my lower back getting lit up. My lower back is I feel like it's quite strong, but I don't know whether this relationship between the lower back and the abs has kind of skewed the balance too far over to lower back, and now because of all this training of lower back, the abs have kind of let go to allow the lower back pump to win. And now when I get underweight, the abs are freaking out. So now I'm thinking to myself, oh man, like, come on. Like, I thought I was onto a good thing with these hypers. So I'm thinking, okay, I have to stop the hypers and address this now. Maybe it's just about doing both at the freaking same time, Obviously now there needs to be a period where I get the abs to catch up a little bit. And there's so many different modalities you can use to freaking strengthen the abs, man. Like, a lot of people don't like sit-ups. People think, oh, it's going to snap your spine or whatever. In my eyes, man, like, I don't see a difference between sit-ups and leg raises. In one, you are lifting the legs. The other one, you're lifting the torso. The only thing that you need to make sure with the sit-ups is that you keep your trunk flexed. You keep your torso flexed, rather. So you're flexing your torso. You're making sure you're in a hollow body position, you know. You're really flexing those abs, and you're going through hip flexion. That's all. Now, hip flexion is not performed by the abs. It's performed by the hip flexors. Iliacus, psoas, rectus femoris. But what I've talked about this before. The reason why we feel abs in sit-ups is because where the hip flexors originate from, especially iliacus and the psoas. They go from your lower back into your femurs. So they are moving our torso up and down, up and down, up and down. Without the abs, our chest would just flop backwards, right? If you think about all those free spinal processes, all those vertebrae up the spine, if you start pulling from the middle of the spine, okay, from the lower back, right, middle lower back, you start pulling from that. If you don't have abs, your head will just bob backwards and your chest will fall forward. So you need to have contraction from the abs, okay, to maintain that hollow body, right? The hollow body position is maintained by the abs. The hip flexion part is maintained by the hip flexors, right? The hip flexors do the hip flexing, right? That makes sense. And the hollow body business is done by the abs. So technically speaking, all you really need to do is crunches. The reason why I don't like crunches is because what are crunches? Like I don't understand what crunches are. We want to move through a range of motion, not just like do this tiny amount of range of motion. So I want to challenge the abs or the rectus abdominis. I want to challenge it while we are going through hip flexion. And I feel it that way. It's same as hanging leg raises. It's the same thing. You are not moving your, pelvis. You're not moving your rib cage up and down like a crunch. You're just literally maintaining that hollow body, and you're moving the legs about the place. And it gets your abs. It gets your hip flexors. It gets the whole hip flexion movement pattern. So I like sit-ups. I like hanging leg raises. I also like hanging leg raises where you put the barbell behind your back. So you're hanging it off and you kind of get rooted, you get stabilized by that thing so you don't sway back and forth. I like doing that as well. I've done ab wheel rollouts in the past, but freaking caused back pain. The few times in my life that I actually had back pain, during a session, it wasn't anything severe. I just felt really fine in my lower back with ab wheel rollouts. The reason for that is I wasn't maintaining the hollow body position. I would roll out too far and I would fall into a hyperextension of the lower back, and then you're dragging yourself back using hip flexors and you're not maintaining that hollow body position. So I feel like, ab wheel rollouts, you need a lot of discipline. You need to know exactly where you're going, and potentially with every rep that you do, you should be going less and less distance out because you're fatiguing. But this is, the only reason I'm thinking about all of these things is because the pin squats have clearly highlighted what's happening here. Like I'm doing the pin squats and I'm like, man, this is a freaking ab workout, man. What is this? I'm doing it for other reasons, right? Like I'm thinking I want to train the quads, the adductors, the hamstrings, the glutes, like all the big stuff, right? Like I want to maintain the upper back position, all this sort of stuff. Then I'm thinking all of a sudden the lower abs are freaking out. So this is where, we folks that train and train often, we're constantly getting feedback from the body. We're constantly getting updates, system updates from the body. It's like, oh man, you're lagging here. And then you address it. But people that are not training and going about their daily living or working in a factory or the field, they might be just developing these weaknesses over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, bang, hernia pops out. Bang, lower back blows out. It's a surprise because they don't know. They don't test their body. They don't go through those ranges of motion. They are not documenting their freaking workouts every single day and seeing trends, seeing progressions, seeing regressions. And all of a sudden, things happening like, man, why does this happen? But now I've kind of picked up a thing. And now I'm getting excited. I'm thinking to myself, damn, is this the reason why I've been shit with deadlifts? Now, isn't that funny? So I found this freaking shitty weakness, and I'm like, man, I haven't hit 260 in a freaking bit. It's been a freaking minute since I last hit it, right? It's been like 4 months. And I don't like it, man. The other night I went through my logbook and I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, man, look at all these months. What is going on? I am overseeing something. I'm not seeing something clearly. This cannot be the case. I've done freaking lots of pull-ups. I've done rack pulls. What else did I do in this time? Freaking 4 months worth of stuff. I've done deficit pulls. I've done high rep squats. I've done all these things and nothing has made my deadlift feel like it should. And then I do these pin squats with this mediocre weight and I'm like, whoa, man. Whoa. Like I hit that 212 squat, I'm thinking, all right, 260, 265, 270 deadlift is around the corner. No. So, surprisingly, I've gotten weak as in my favorite position, that bent over, deadlifting, hip hinging position. So, this is where you start pulling your hair out. Because what's going to happen now is I'm going to start concentrating on the abs. And all that fatigue that I've accumulated with the deficit deadlifts and the hypers and the back raises is going to start to wash away. And then let's say in 2 weeks' time I hit a deadlift PR. And then I'm going to come back to a video and I'm like, yeah, man, abs did everything. Might not be the case, man. It might be just all freaking back that I just didn't for the last 3-4 weeks or whatever the hell it has been since I've been doing deadlifts, deficit deadlifts. And then I'll go and smash abs for the next few months, blah, 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 smash them, all of a sudden hit another plateau. And I'm like, damn, I thought it was the abs. And then you start something else. And off you go, and off you go, and off you go. It sucks because there are long-reaching hormonal, system adaptations that happen that you don't see. They're not as obvious. So if you have effects like, from now till like 3, 4, 5 days, it's not necessarily what you've done today. It could be something that you've done freaking a month ago. And this is where it gets really, really tricky. But the reason why I like this sort of stuff is because I'm continuously doing observations. Like at work, we do hourly observations on everybody in the critical area. So we do pulse, blood pressure, rest rate, saturations, GCS, neurobs, all that stuff. We do all of that every hour. And so when something happens, we're like, okay, something has happened. Let's investigate. Patient's deteriorating. What has happened? Let's look into that. Might get another blood gas. Might get another X-ray, another ECG. Let's start looking at what's going on, right? And we might get the wrong idea. We might think it's APO. We might think it's acute pulmonary edema, but it might not be. It might be freaking, COAD, chronic obstructive airway disease. Both affect your breathing, but, different system, right? Different methods of causing that shortness of breath. This is how I look at this, man. I'm like, okay, clearly something is going wrong with the abs. Let's address the abs, and then we'll go from there. That's how you kind of treat the symptom. But the cause could be that I've just completely overloaded one system and not the other. It kind of makes sense, man. Like if you smash the hell out of one agonist, right, the antagonist is going to release and release and release. And if you don't address that antagonist at all, it's going to get weaker and weaker because the other side is freaking dominating the hell out of it. Put in anterior pelvic tilt, and those guts are always spilling out, always stretching and never getting strengthened. Now, they are getting strengthened through, the squatting or whatever, but not while you're focusing so hard on the other side, on the lower back. So, to prevent hernias, to prevent this slide of continuing this weakness of the abdominals and to actually progress the pin squats, because I know pin squats always translate for me, I need to address it. So over the next few days, I'm going to try and not grease the groove, but I'm going to, like I always do, I like to, do a whole bunch of frequency initially and then, taper off a little bit and let it recover. So I'll do that for the next few days and see how I feel. And I'll try and lay off the freaking hypers, man, even though I freaking love how they feel, man. But I've neglected the other side. Anyway, guys, got to get out of here again and go to work. Appreciate you guys for tuning in again. Special thanks to the fellas on the screen. Special thanks to everyone that supports me. It's a big... It's a great feeling to have you guys tune in almost every day, messages and all that. It's really uplifting. So I thank you guys, and I thank you for your brainstorming in the comments as well. You guys always make me think, and basically, like, that is the most enjoyable thing for me after all. Like, I chose to make this YouTube channel, not for the sake of, you know, having a huge following or anything like that. It was a library. But then a few fellas started commenting and bouncing ideas off me, and I started loving that. Started putting more time into it, more thoughts into my videos. Because I figured the more thoughts I put into my videos, the more constructive criticism, the more ideas I'm going to get back, and it's only going to, you know, fuel the furnace, if you will, and everything just gets better. So I really appreciate your comments. I really appreciate the ideas, and like always, really appreciate the support. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.